high side. Murphy shooting, save a rebound on the view.
Hey everyone, this is Casey. You are watching the Red Rubber Duckman All Sports Network, and after a chaotic week 0, it's time for week 1 of the college football season to start. And we got ourselves some pretty good games. Right now I'm going to go over 28 games in total. Of course, we're going to do all the top 25, as well as 6 special non-ranked matchups that have been catching the eye of every single college football fan. But we're going to go over those 28 games, and it's going to be chaotic, to say the least, because you have Texas and Ohio State, and you got another good showdown coming up in Arrowhead Stadium with Nebraska and Cincinnati. And of course, in Miami, you have Notre Dame in Miami, as well as 2 Aflac kickoff games, which are sure to deliver. So it's going to be a good week. Let's go ahead and let's do some predictions. So first up, you got 25 ranked Boise State traveling to Tampa to take on South Florida. Now, Boise State, they don't have Ashton Genty anymore. He's on the Raiders now. But you still have a dynamic running back duo in Malik Sherrod, as well as Sire Gaines for a 1-2 punch. And your quarterback, Maddox Madsen, is going to return. And for South Florida, you're going to get your quarterback back in Byron Brown after he suffered a lower leg injury in late September. Do I think it's going to be enough? And is the weather going to be kind to Boise State? It doesn't really matter, because I think Boise State's going to come out on top and win this. And now let's get to our other Thursday matchup in Arrowhead, with Nebraska taking on Cincinnati. And this is going to be a quarterback battle with Dylan Raiola, which I think is how you pronounce it, from Nebraska. He's going to make his return for the Huskers. And for Cincinnati, you have Brendan Sorsby, and he's going to have brand new wideouts to throw to. And Nebraska's coming in 6.5 point favorites. I think they're going to win by less than that. I'm going to say the Cornhuskers are going to take it at Arrowhead. With the Thursday matchups out of the way, let's get to the Friday matchups. And we have 1 ranked matchup as well as 2 notable unranked matchups. The ranked matchup here, we have Western Illinois traveling to Champaign to take on number 12 Illinois. Now, the Leathernecks were 4-8 last year in the OVC/Big South. As for Illinois, they're probably one of the favorites to sneak into the college football playoff this year. Last year they had a 10-3 season, and number 12 is their highest preseason rank since 1990, when they were ranked at number 11. And your quarterback Luke Altmaier is going to return. And I'm not going to waste any more time with this. I'm going to say Illinois is going to take this one. And now your first of 2 unranked matchups on Friday. It's going to be Auburn and Baylor. It's going to be a very classic matchup because Auburn is coming in to Waco as 2.5 point favorites. And you got a quarterback transfer from Oklahoma in Jackson Arnold coming in. And he's going to have brand new receivers. And Auburn also boasts a solid defensive front. As for Baylor, Sawyer Robinson is going to take over the quarterback position with terrific receiving core. And you're still going to keep the same secondary, and as well as having loaded linebackers. And this is going to be my first, I'm not sure if you can call it an upset pick, because 2.5 point favorites screams coin toss. I'm going to say Baylor wins as 2.5 point underdogs. I'm not sure if you can, but again, I'm not sure if you could call it an underdog story because this is basically a toss-up matchup. And the other one is going to be Georgia Tech traveling to Boulder to take on a Travis Hunter and Shedeur Sanders-less Colorado Buffalo squad. Now, Georgia Tech were the season killers last year because you saw what happened. They started a brand new soap opera in As the Doak Burns with Florida State and Ireland, and as well as the start of the downfall of the Miami Hurricanes, because once they lost their undefeated run, the Miami Hurricanes have not been the same, and it led to Miami losing to Syracuse and missing out on a trip to Charlotte. And I expect the same season killer identity from the Jackets this year. As for Colorado, there's no, as I mentioned earlier, no Shedeur, no Travis, but they did manage to have a brilliant home record of 5-1. Do I think it's gonna start 1-0 or 0-1? The answer to that question, I think it's gonna start 0-1. I think Georgia Tech is gonna go into Boulder and win it. And now we get to Saturday, and we have your first of two Aflac kickoff games down at Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta. We got Syracuse, which I mentioned earlier, and number 24, Tennessee. And this one is going to be one of your next man up teams, as the Orange are going to move on from Kyle McCord, and they're going to bring in the new quarterback, Ricky Collins. And then, as for Tennessee, you're going to have a lot of returning starters on defense. And I think that defense is going to be the deciding factor. I'm going to say Tennessee wins, but not by the 14 points that they're favored to win by. And this is quite possibly the game of the week. Number 1, Texas. And if I remember correctly from watching the FBS report with Red and Squidtard, Squid said that this is the first time ever in their program's history that the Longhorns are the preseason number 1, which is amazing considering the history of football that Texas has. And number 3, and they're going to be traveling to Columbus to take on number 3, Ohio State. And Ohio State, then you know the introduction, they are the reigning, defending, undisputed national champions. Or I should say somewhat disputed if you're up in Ann Arbor. For Texas, Arch Manning, this is his opportunity to prove himself to be the next big thing. And of course, you got, on the defensive end, you got linebacker Anthony Hill, as well as a cast of great supporting actors. For the Buckeyes, Julian Sayin is going to be your brand new quarterback after Will Howard got sent to Pittsburgh. And you still got one of the top players in the country at the safety position in Caleb Downs. And not to mention, they're going to try to utilize Jeremiah Smith more after he only caught one pass against Texas in the Cotton Bowl. And this is going to be a coin flip matchup, I believe. And I hate with home bias, but I'm going to say Ohio State is going to take it. And here is another unranked matchup. And this one involves some action. We got Toledo taking on Kentucky. And I believe this is going to be a strong defensive matchup. You're not going to see a whole lot of scoring in Kroger Field, because both teams do have a strong defense. As for Toledo, last year they only allowed 23.2 points per game, which is 47th in the FBS. As for Kentucky, they only gave up 22.1 points per game, which is good for 32nd in FBS. And I say don't expect much scoring because both of these teams were not known for scoring points last year, with Kentucky being one of the worst with 20.6, which is only good for 119th. And Toledo, the logical Canadians' favorite number, 28.3, which is good for 64th. Kentucky, I believe, is going to win, but by less than the 8.5 points that they're favored to win by. I'm going to say the Wildcats take this one. Next up, you got Old Dominion traveling to Bloomington to take on number 20, Indiana. Now, the defense for the Monarchs has been far better, and you have Jason Henderson returning after he recorded 438 tackles in 3 seasons at Old Dominion, and you still boast one of the best red zone offenses from last year. As for Indiana, they upgraded both sides of the ball through the portal. The O-line is getting better. They have terrific receivers, and they got brilliant safeties to go with their amazing corners. And I'm going to say Indiana is going to win no contest. And here is the Season 2 premiere of As the Dope Burns. Number 8, Alabama, traveling to Tallahassee to take on Florida State. For Alabama, Jalen Milroe is gone, so you're going to have a brand new quarterback at Ty Simpson. And your guys are going to be going for a comeback year after losing to teams like Vanderbilt and the worst Oklahoma team we've seen in years. For Florida State, they're also looking for a comeback year. Their worst season in 52 years last year. And Red is still not forgiving you for throwing away the whole season just so you can keep your soap opera afloat. You brought in Gus Malzahn to be your new offensive coordinator. I don't know why. And you brought in a new quarterback in Tommy Castellanos from Boston College. Mike Norvell, you are on thin ice. And it's not going to be any better for you. And you're not going to go off on a real hot start just like last year. I'm going to say Alabama is going to burn the doke even more. Next up, you have Marshall taking on number 5, Georgia. I would say Marshall has a chance, if not for the fact they are a rebuilding team. Like I mentioned during the Sun Belt preview, they completely blew it up. Some of the team is going to Southern Miss, so they're basically starting from scratch. For Georgia, you brought in Gunnar Stockton. This is going to be his second start. He was actually quite solid in the SEC championship against eventual semifinalist Texas. And I'm going to say Georgia is going to win, probably by either 30 or 40. Next up, you got Nevada traveling to Happy Valley to take on number 2 Penn State. Nevada lost a lot in the portal, but their quarterback, Chubba Purdy, who happens to be the brother of Brock Purdy, and he's got enough experience to run the table, and the receiving core once again has a positive up note. For Penn State, they did lose a ton of O-line, but the portal has helped bringing in some depth for the Nittany Lions, and I think Penn State's going to go ahead and take it. And we have some possible 2007 Appalachian State and Michigan matchups. For this one, we have 22 Iowa State hosting South Dakota, and the Coyotes are ranked number 5 in FCS. And they're coming off of an 11-3 season, and they are not to be taken lightly. And you should be taking any of the FCS opponents lightly. As for Iowa State, they survived Farmageddon over in Ireland. They won against Kansas State. They did struggle at first, but they did get better as the game went along, especially the offensive line and protecting their quarterback. And I'm going to say Iowa State's going to go to 2-0. Is it going to be closer than Iowa State's favored? I'm sure. Another one of those possible Appalachian State and Michigan matchups is number 7 Oregon hosting your FCS runners-up Montana State. And like I said, last year's FCS runners-up, Justin Lamson is going to be returning, and he did play against Oregon in 2023, and he's going to be looking for revenge. And the Bobcats are going to be looking to return to the national championship game, hoping for some revenge. As for Oregon, they finished in the top 25 in passing and total offense with Dylan Gabriel. Now he's a Cleveland Brown, so they're going to replace him with Dante Moore. And I don't think it's going to matter who they have at quarterback. I'm still going to say Oregon is still going to win. And the last of the possible App State of Michigans will be number 18, Oklahoma, taking on Illinois State. Now, currently the Redbirds are sitting at number 6 in the FCS poll. And they're coming off of their first FCS playoff appearance since 2019. And their quarterback, Tommy Rittenhouse, is going to return for his senior year after a breakout year for Illinois State. And for Oklahoma, they're going to have a transfer quarterback with John Mater coming in from Washington State. And of course, the Sooners are expected to have one of the top defenses in the country this year. I'm going to say all three App State and Michigans will survive. I'm going to say Oklahoma is going to take it. And our next matchup will be Long Island traveling to Gainesville to take on number 15 Florida. Now, Ethan Greenwood will return for the Sharks after a standout year. However, the Sharks are coming off of a 4-8 record. For Florida, you have quarterback DJ Lagway being named a starter. And he did suffer a few injuries, I think, during the spring game. But he has recovered. And this is a great opportunity for the Gators to get their feet wet. And I'm going to say Florida is going to take it. Your next matchup will be North Dakota traveling to number 17 Kansas State. Now, the Fighting Hawks, they started off 5-2, and they since dropped down to 5-7. And because of that, they had to fire their head coach, and they brought in a new head coach, Eric Schmidt. And most of the offense does return, and they're going to look for continuity. And for the Wildcats, of course, they lost Farmageddon to Iowa State. But Avery Johnson and Jace Brown did stand out. The only thing that's going to stop the Wildcats is coaching and the defense. Especially if they proceed to give up more than 3 out of 14 attempts. And I believe the Wildcats, they are going to bounce back on like a certain team in Tallahassee. I'm going to say Kansas State is going to take this. Next up, we got UTSA taking on number 19 Texas A&M. For the Roadrunners, you have Owen McCown making his return at quarterback, as well as their running back, Robert Henry Jr. However, for the Roadrunners, it's very concerning on defense because you had to replace all 11 of your starters. And for the Aggies, once again, they can't escape 8-4. It's like a given for them. And the offense returns with a few standout transfers. However, the defense needed to be replaced, especially the secondary, after finishing third to last in the SEC in passing. But I still believe that the Aggies, they're going to win this. It won't be by the 24.5 points that they're favored to win by, but I believe the Aggies will survive. Next up, you have Arkansas Pine Bluff taking on number 23 Texas Tech. Now, the Golden Lions, they finished 3-9 last season in the SWAC. And as of right now, Alonzo Hampton has yet to pick a starting quarterback. And for Texas Tech, they have the top transfer haul, according to On3 Sports. And quarterback Baron Morton is going to return. And linebacker Jacob Rodriguez will also return after being one of the leaders in tackles with 127. And I'm going to say the Red Raiders are going to take this. And here is another possible Game of the Week candidate. You have the Battle of Death Valleys, the Battle of Tigers. It's a top 10 matchup. Number 9 LSU taking on number 4 Clemson. And this is going to be another quarterback duel. Of course, LSU has not won a season opener since 2019 when they won it all. And then Clemson, They just ended their 3-year college football playoff drought, and they are favored to repeat as ACC champions. And I mentioned quarterback duel because Nussmeier is going to be in his 5th year at LSU, and of course Klubnik is going to be coming in for his 4th year with Clemson. Now Nussmeier threw for 4,052 yards and 29 touchdowns last year. Meanwhile, Klubnik threw for 3,639 yards and 36 touchdowns. It's going to be close, and I believe the winner of this is going to win by either 1 or 2 points. And it's going to be electric, and I'm going to say Clemson is going to win the Battle of the Tigers and the Battle of the Death Valleys. And another matchup, this time on NBC, it's going to be New Mexico traveling to Ann Arbor to take on number 14 Michigan. For New Mexico, they're sick and tired of going 5-7, so they brought in a new head coach as well as a brand new quarterback in Jason Eck and Jack Lane, respectively. And their running back room has been gifted with transfers for the Lobos, but I think Michigan is still going to take this because you have quarterback Bryce Underwood. It seems like from the way he talks and the way he plays, it looks like it's going to be a legit Michigan team this time around. They did right the ship after beating Ohio State and Alabama in a bowl game. And both the offense and the defense had to be replenished via portal, and both transfers were able to. And of course, you had transfers to boost the wide receivers and the defense. I think Michigan takes this. And next up, you have Georgia State taking on number 21 Ole Miss. Now, Georgia State did go 3-9, but they do have a winning record against the SEC last year when they beat Vanderbilt. There's a whole lot of familiar faces on offense, as well as Henry Bryant on the defense that might help the Panthers. However, Ole Miss will be another team with the next man up mentality after Jackson Dart went to the Giants. Austin Simmons will be your new quarterback. There will be new faces at receiver as well. And then you have Princeville Umanamelen being the new defensive number 1. I think the Rebels will take this one. Next up, you have East Texas A&M taking on number 16 SMU. Now, East Texas A&M, they went 3-9 last year, 2-4 in the Southland. You have a new quarterback in Jack Jacobs, and you have your leading receiver in Christian Jordan returning, and the defense will try to fix the secondary via portal. And the Mustangs, of course, they're expected to once again compete in the ACC. Kevin Jennings is returning to lead the offense. And both the offense and the defense had to be replenished via the portal, as well as returning veterans. And I don't think it's going to be enough for the Mustangs to lose. SMU is going to win this one. You have Northern Arizona and number 11 Arizona State next. The Lumberjacks, they made the FCS playoffs for the first time since 2017. And at the quarterback position, you have Ty Pennington. No, not that Ty Pennington. Returning to lead the offense. And one of the strongest defenses in FCS will be back, as they only allowed 18.8 points per game, which is 15th in all FCS. And Arizona State is going to be riding with momentum after their successful Big 12 debut. Sam Levitt and Jordan Tyson's going to return. You don't have your running back anymore, but you should still be good. Jordan Tyson was sidelined for the postseason, but he should still be good to try to complete a full season. I'm going to say the Sun Devils win this one. And this is going to be your penultimate unranked matchup. You have Utah traveling to the Rose Bowl to take on UCLA. Now, Devin Damper is going to be coming in to replace Cam Rising at quarterback for the Utes. And how well the offense will work will depend on your O-line. As for UCLA, you have Nico Iamaleava arriving from Tennessee to take the quarterback position, and you have improved receivers as well as an improved backfield. The defense was great last year, and they should remain so. Now, Utah is coming in as a slight favorite, and I do think that they are going to be taking a road win with them. I'm going to say Utah is going to win this one. And that was your final Saturday game. We're going to get to the 2 Sunday games with your second of 2 Aflac kickoff games in Atlanta. You have Virginia Tech taking on number 13, South Carolina. Brent Pry, you are on the hot seat because Virginia Tech is sick of going 6-6. And quarterback Kyron Drones will return to health. Now, in 2023, he did throw for over 2,000 yards, but injuries cut his season short last year at 9 games. And for South Carolina, Lenore Sellers is going to be back at the quarterback position. And the Gamecocks were 1 win short of the college football playoff last year. And at running back, you have Rasul Faison as your new running back after he ran for nearly 2,000 yards in 2 years with the Utah State Aggies. And I think South Carolina is going to take this one. And then your last matchup in Sunday, and the penultimate matchup for this video will be Notre Dame and Miami, 6 versus 10. For the Fighting Irish, of course, they are the defending national runners-up. And you had to replace Riley Leonard at quarterback, but C.J. Carr did win the starting contest over Kevin McNee, and you have a deadly duo at that quarterback position because Marcus Freeman is going to make sure that both quarterbacks are ready to go in a time of need. And of course, you have Jeremiah Love returning, and the defense is going to remain elite. I can't wait to see what they do. As for Miami, you got Cam Ward being replaced by Carson Beck from Georgia. And you saw the type of season that Carson Beck had at Georgia, and it should translate here. But the problem for the Canes is the defense, as they gave up almost 30 points in 6 games last season. And I believe that will be the deciding factor. I'm going to say number 6, Notre Dame, wins on the road. The final matchup, it's going to be your Labor Day matchup with TCU taking on North Carolina. Now, for TCU, quarterback Josh Hoover will return, as well as your wide receiver, Eric McAllister. Now, the defense did lose some weapons, but you still got plenty of depth to work with. As for North Carolina, of course, this is the debut for Bill Belichick. You did bring in quarterback Gio Lopez coming in from South Alabama to try to bring stability to that position. However, you do have to overcome huge losses with your top tacklers gone on defense. I believe Bill Belichick is going to be off to a rocky start in North Carolina. I'm going to say TCU takes this one. But that is going to do it for me. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please feel free to like, comment, share the stream with your friends, and subscribe to the Red Rubber Duck Win All Sports Network. And I'll plan on going live for number 9 LSU and number 4 Clemson. Why are you not streaming Texas and Ohio State? Because Red5478 is going to be taking care of that. And I may or may not be joining him on his stream. I'll let you know. I'll let you know when the time comes. But once again, thank you so much for watching. Until we meet again.